Okay, Stalkers, I am back with a recap of the day up at MoMA Film. I spent quite a bit of time up there today. I caught two movies. Robert Aldrich's Emperor of the North, originally titled Emperor of the North Pole. That's how I grew up with it anyway, and they removed the title. Apparently, they explained at the screening today that they thought the movie was faring badly at the box office because of the term North Pole. They thought audiences were expecting a different film, so they shortened it to Emperor of the North, even though the term Emperor of the North Pole is mentioned in the film on at least two occasions. I caught that for the first time in about 30 years, and I caught Night of the Living Dead, what they touted as its world premiere, because you've never seen it this perfect, I guess would be the way George Romero would put it. It's never looked this good, it's never sounded this good, so MoMA actually presented this as and George was there, Mr. Romero was there to introduce the movie and then participate in the Q&A with Bill Cardille and Russ Streiner, who made the movie with him, part of the Latent Image crew from the late 60s. I haven't seen Emperor of the North Pole in about 30 years. I've seen Night of the Living Dead every day for my entire life since I was born. So it was kind of interesting to catch up with one movie and then to re-experience another film that I'm really familiar with. So for the Aldrich film, as I said earlier, if you're expecting happy movies out of Robert Aldrich, then you don't know Robert Aldrich. He made some very caustic, cynical, even like I said earlier, nihilistic and maybe even misanthropic cinema over the course of his career. He was actually a very socially progressive, liberal humanist, but his films, you wouldn't know it by his films. They have a very dark take on humanity. Very few heroes, a lot of anti-heroes in his films. Emperor of the North is no different. There really isn't a single likable character in the film, but they're all so intriguing. They're so intriguing in their flaws and in their bad habits, their denial of the better angels of our nature, even just outright embrace of villainy in some cases. I want to walk back something I said earlier. I said earlier that this was Ernest Borgnine's finest 2 hours. I want to walk that back slightly because, like I said, I haven't seen the movie in a very long time. There is a episodic sequence in the film where Simon Oakland, the great character actor Simon Oakland, plays a railroad security officer, and he has a small part in the film where he chases Lee Marvin and Keith Carradine to Hooverville. I remember that in my memory. I thought that was an Ernest Borgnine scene. So the only reason I want to walk it back slightly is because I thought Ernest Borgnine was in the movie more. He's in the bulk of the film, but I just thought he was in it more. I thought his character had a little more shading and depth. It does. There's more. You could tell how the character existed on the written page and what Ernest Borgnine brought to it. There are definitely grades to the guy. They may all be shades of gray and into blackness, but there's definitely more to the character than just a very two-dimensional villain. So I wouldn't say it best to what he did in, say, Marty or From Here to Eternity, but it's a damn close second. If you've never seen it before, he is one of the great villains of all time in this movie. And I mean, he wears his railroad conductor's outfit like one of Mussolini's officers. He's scarier than the friggin' locomotive in the movie. For his performance alone, what I really was taken aback by, I've forgotten how great Keith Carradine was in this movie, and he kind of reminded me of a young Jeff Bridges. Not that his style was like Bridges, but in the fact that it reminded me a lot of what Bridges did with Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Bridges had been in a few movies leading up to Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. This was Keith Carradine's second or third film. But in both films, they joined forces with the veteran actor. Bridges joined forces in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot with Clint Eastwood, and in this one, it was Keith Carradine and Lee Marvin. And they utilized the opportunity to not just to stand toe-to-toe with the older, more seasoned actor, but to really break out and show what they could do. I mean, Keith Carradine is exhilarating in this movie. It's amazing he didn't go on to a bigger career as a leading man. But what he does with the role, he's a character actor, and he proves he's a character actor in this movie too, first and foremost. He has such vim and vigor in this role of, just an upstart con man who latches on to Lee Marvin's seasoned railroad hobo. It's a great film. It's sort of gotten forgotten, I think, over the years, and I'm glad now it's gotten restored by 20th Century Fox, and I'm glad that it had its premiere, its restorations premiere at MoMA as part of the Two Save and Project Festival, which is still going on. It'll be going on for the bulk of November. Check their calendar or check my calendar at nitratestock.net, which will show you all of the repertory film screenings in New York City this month. Now to Night of the Living Dead. I was just emotionally overwhelmed by the experience because I've never actually been in the room with George Romero before. I've never seen him live introducing one of his films, and this is the granddaddy. This is the one that kicked off his entire career, kicked off it helped reinforce the American independent cinema movement, and they're still ripping it off to this day. Anybody who's a fan of The Walking Dead knows You know, he's the granddaddy of the zombie genre, and you know, to see the original this pristine, they cleaned every frame of film, they fixed the sound finally, everything matches up. You've never seen or heard the movie look this good, ever. If you're like me, you've seen this movie 10,000 times, you still have not really seen the movie until you see this new version of it. I'm sure Criterion or somebody's going to be putting it out soon. Be on the lookout for it. It was a magic experience. I really swore Scorsese was going to show up at some point. I'm kind of shocked that he didn't, but you know, because you just can't say no to these things. But it was incredible. It was incredible to see. It was incredible to be there, just like see him introduce the movie and then do a Q&A, a quick Q&A with Russ Streiner and Bill Cardille, who also made the movie. They were part of Latent Image, and they appear in the movie. Russ Streiner famously is Johnny in the beginning of the movie. They're coming to get you, Barbara. And Bill Cardille plays the television reporter who interviews the sheriff, who, you know, then goes on to do what he does at the end of the movie. I'm not giving anything away. I'm sure you've all seen Night of the Living Dead, but I'm sure there's one person out there watching this who's never seen it before. I'll be damned if I'm going to blow the ending for them. So anyway, a long day up at MoMA. I'm very appreciative to you know, to the institution, to the museum itself, and to particularly Dave Kerr, who I pretty much was his guest today for the screening of Night of the Living Dead. It came through for me, and I'm really glad I was able to attend it. This was the key movie of the festival. There's a lot of great stuff coming up. John Ford's one of his early talkies that I think was recently discovered and recently taken off. Well, it might not have been taken off the lost list, but it hasn't been cleaned up and shown in a very long time. It's called The Brat. It's one of his early 30s melodramas. That's going to be screening tomorrow, and it'll have an encore screening sometime later this month. The great Anthony Mann is represented in the festival. He Walked by Night from the late 40s, shot by the great John Alton, the film noir cinematographer John Alton. That'll be on display later in the month too. There's just a ton of great stuff. There's two from G.W. Pabst, two of his World War I themed films. One is set in World War I and one is set after World War I, but it's about the consequences of World War I. There's just a ton of great stuff coming up in this festival. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please check the calendar, check my calendar, check their calendar, get tickets, show up for this. This was a truly magic day. I'm really glad I got to be up there. I'm really glad I got to be there for this. And again, thanks to the museum, and I'll be back. I'll definitely be back up there for the next couple of weeks. So anyway, this is Joe. I'm going to be heading to the bar now to think about everything that I've seen and heard today, because I need to unwind. This is Joseph Walsh from NitrateStock.net saying, stick with me, stockers.